Hey everyone, it's finally here. The Kickstarter and demo for SCP Fragmented Minds have launched, and you can find the link to support the project on Kickstarter below, or on this page, and play the demo on Steam right now. However, since we launched a game demo, we wanted to go over some of the more detailed aspects of the idea behind the demo, and where we plan to take the game after Kickstarter, as well as give some more insight into some of the plans we have with character interactions and the game as a whole. Now, for those who haven't played the demo yet, we suggest giving it a try since it'll be a really good introduction for you into the blend of action and survival horror that makes up the world of SCP Fragmented Minds. We really strived hard to ensure this demo was playable by everyone instead of just specific people, since only allowing certain individuals to play the game feels inauthentic and makes it easy to cover up flaws. Now, this is mainly why it took us some extra time to ensure we got everything right and performance friendly, since it will be run across a wide array of hardware and not just top-end graphics cards. However, we managed to get this demo from concept to what you see now working part-time with a full engine change from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5 with 3 people in about 8.5 months. Now, this is the main reason for our desire to do Kickstarter, since it'll allow us to focus on this project full-time and hire on some extra talent to help massively accelerate the development of the entire game. Now, the main goal of the demo was to put players into the middle of a level to demonstrate the mechanics behind how the game is going to be played, and also show how combat, movement, crafting, and interaction with the world and creatures will work, as well as starting to build the story and world through text and audio logs scattered throughout the level. The demo also gives some insight into how the facility will be laid out, and hints at some of the fatal challenges personnel have faced while you were asleep in cryostasis. Now, players are also able to get up close and personal with the different SCP creatures we have in-game, and can get a glimpse of what will be featured in the full game in terms of some of the planned creatures, with several of them being fully animated with completely custom sounds. Of course, a lot of the systems you see in the demo are heavily work in progress to get the idea across, but the main core systems such as AI, crafting, movement, and combat are actually already built out and will be massively refined throughout development to make them feel much more polished and fluid. Now, we're proud of how the demo has turned out, but of course there were certain things that either wouldn't have made sense to showcase in the demo, or we were unable to make due to a lack of time or resources. One of these things, which you'll see a big section dedicated to on the Kickstarter page, is the aspect of character interactions and survivor camps. So, we didn't just want to make the story of SCP Fragmented Minds purely linear, since the story and facility itself are meant to be molded around the specific path the player is choosing to progress towards. In order to actually achieve this goal, though, the introduction of interactable NPCs, which include the camp leaders, were added so that players would have a way to pick and choose which people to interact with, so they could actively change how the story flowed through either shortcutting certain sections or acquiring gear, tools, or knowledge that they would otherwise get further in the game. Not only does this add a ton of replayability to the single player, but it also allows a lot of natural expansion on the experience because players will actively be able to see the impact they're having on the story and flow of events throughout the campaign. The addition of the camp leaders and the camps they lead, though, was to give each of the 3 main research zones a unique camp and individual, along with the others in their camps, that players can visit to create new weapons, heal, or receive optional side quests which would help progress the story and make the game's world feel much more interactive and alive. This will allow for high-quality, lifelike animations, as well as voice interactions which help add to the overall immersion in the story and specific character you're interacting with. One character in particular we're eager to explore further is SCP-049, who is also going to be voiced and interactable, which will allow a lot of expansion and detailed insight to his character in a way that's never been done before. Now, another important aspect of the future of SCP Fragmented Minds is multiplayer, and this is something we're very excited about because maps aren't just going to be restricted to the inside of a facility on Mars, and instead will feature icy forests and even the inside of an SCP itself, with SCP-354 as a planned map. It's in these maps we plan to implement our Hunt game mode, which is going to be a PvP game mode featuring MTF security forces versus wild SCP instances in their natural habitats. This would be an action-packed, objective-based horror mode that will feature various different objectives each round, with the final objective being the activation of a specialized containment field generator. However, the MTF must activate this generator before their reinforcements run out, while the SCPs must attack and destroy these objectives, while ensuring their own numbers don't dwindle too thin. Both sides will have their advantages and disadvantages, and we cannot wait to begin focusing on this game mode, which will happen after the first 3 chapters of the single-player story are completed, to ensure we don't water down the single-player or multiplayer by stretching our focus too thin. Now, one final extremely important piece we wanted to touch on as well was a heavily asked question throughout the development of the demo, and that was whether or not SCP Fragmented Minds will be on consoles. Now, we're very happy to say that we will be coming to the Xbox Series X consoles, as well as will be the first ever SCP game to get confirmation that we'll be able to launch on Xbox. This is going to open up a whole new avenue to SCP fans on consoles who will finally be able to experience the creatures they love from the SCP wiki without requiring an expensive gaming PC to run it. Now, we're not sure if we'll be able to launch on PlayStation or any other consoles since the requirements to launch there are much different than Xbox, but as development progresses, we'll know more and we'll keep players updated with that information. And we really hope you guys enjoy our demo and decide to pledge to the Kickstarter campaign. A lot of the rewards we have will allow players to actually impact who and what is in the story, so we're incredibly eager to begin working with players on getting their additions in, as well as sending out the merch care packages for the tiers with physical items. Now, as we progress throughout this month, we'll be showing off new additions to the game, as well as showing off the work-in-progress models for SCP-682, whose voice you actually heard in the Kickstarter trailer. Now, he'll be an integral part of the game, and the design is coming together to be extremely menacing. This month is going to be pretty insane, so from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your amazing support, and we hope to see you on the other side of a successful Kickstarter campaign, so you can fully explore the world of SCP Fragmented Minds.